It's time for all the news you need and more. Brookland is Live starts right now.
Welcome into Brookland News Live. I'm Jackson Mitchell. It is good to be with you. I went to say we are in a temporary studio all this week. I know it is not the best look. We're here to bring you the news, though. We're still going to do that in the best way possible. But we're in a temporary studio. It is Monday, August 17th. Time now 4:02. We're also at a later time. Got a lot going on this week, but we still want to make sure that we get the news to you. So not only do we have this set thing going on, where we're working on what we're calling just a temporary set. This same set will be used for election night, but it is going to look a whole lot different. So just be ready for that. A whole lot different. I'll just tell you that. The plan I have, it will look. I'll actually be using this TV to give you guys election results. I'm a little behind the scenes because this is just a television behind me. Besides the point, sorry to get on that little bit of a rant there, but a lot going on today. The president meeting lifeguard Ryder Williams in the White House. He's the lifeguard that was seen in that video saving a young child from drowning. It was an incredible video. We showed it to you. If you remember, I believe it was last Monday, we did a special 2-hour edition of Brookland News Live, and in those 2 hours, it was just one of the dozens of stories that we brought you. So the president meeting him there, not only did he do that, of course, as expected, he took some questions. So we want to take you there right now. It happened earlier this afternoon. Want to take you there. Before we do that, we also want to note happening right now, the opening statements for Tupac. In that case, we are watching all of the drama there. Again, the opening statements begin in the Tupac Shakur trial as a person that is believed to have killed him over 20 years ago is now right there, and we could see him be accused of, we're going to see him be accused of killing Tupac. Not only that, but we are going to talk more about that this hour. So stick with us because we've got that coming up for you, and we're monitoring that live feed out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, as we noted, we want to take you right now to the president meeting with that lifeguard at the White House moments ago. Take a listen.
Well, thank you very much, and this is a great story, and it's an honor to be with Ryder Williams, who is a 16-year-old lifeguard, California, the Santa Cruz area, and I understand he was a winner right from the time they first saw him as a lifeguard. A lot of training, a lot of work, and he saved this young gentleman, who I had a long talk with. I said, would you have made it without him? And you said, not really, right? Not really, it was trouble. Yeah. So you're gonna have a long and beautiful life.
Thank you.
And I just thought we were all watching, everybody watched, and got a lot of publicity because of the ferocity of the waves. I've never seen waves, I mean, that was sort of violent. We were just discussing, and at certain times of the year, mostly like right around now, the waves get very rough in that area, and they're swirling, and if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna be tough, or if you're small, if you're young. So I just want to congratulate Nathaniel Ray for coming through an ordeal. And that means you're going to have good luck in life. You know, that's called good luck. I want to say hello to your father, and came along for we invited them to the Oval Office and to the White House. After this, if you'd like, we're going to have them brought up to the Lincoln bedroom, where you see the room of Abraham Lincoln. That's pretty good, right? Yeah. And also your sister. It's really nice. We have some of the people that Nathaniel and that work so much on the whole process with Nathaniel, and were with Ryder right from the beginning. And I guess you learned from these people. They taught you how to do what you do so well, Ryder, right?
Yes, sir. They trained me.
And Nathaniel's very happy about that, Ryder, I have to tell you. Shane Williams, the father of Ryder. Thank you very much, Shane. You did a good job.
Thank you.
I see you're in one of my favorite uniforms.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
a big fan of that. You couldn't be happier, right?
I couldn't be more proud.
When you saw that on television.
Yes.
It was incredible, actually. Shannon Williams, That's the mom. So you did a good job. It's good genetics. When you look at him, you can see really good. Summit Ray, that's the father. Thanks again, Summit. We appreciate it. Layla Ray, sister of Nathaniel. Thank you, honey. Aaron Bonin, Santa Cruz lifeguard, who assisted Ryder, and he became quite famous also. That was a good assist. He helped you a lot, right? Yes, he helped you a lot. Thank you very much. Great job. Fantastic. Alex Luscutoff, Chief of Law Enforcement and Emergency Service in Santa Cruz. Thank you. Great job you guys are doing.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Justin McHenry, Assistant Chief of Aquatics and Lifeguard Operations, Santa Cruz.
Right here, sir.
Good job.
Thank
Were
you.
you responsible for the training?
Yes, I help oversee and guide the training for our lifeguard program.
And for a lot of the lifeguards, right?
We train about 200 lifeguards a year.
Great.
Yep.
At that age, too.
Starting at 16.
Starting at 16. That's a lot. I read that that's a lot to do for a 16-year-old. That's not easy.
It's a huge responsibility, and it requires a lot of
That he did it so well, right?
integrity and resilience. And I think this particular rescue that Ryder performed really exemplifies what we're looking for in a state park lifeguard.
And you couldn't let go for an instant. If you let go for one instant, it'd be very hard to find, right?
Oh, absolutely. In those conditions, losing a victim would be disastrous.
Yeah, really amazing. You have no idea the respect. Joel, where's Joel? State Park Superintendent, lifeguard, Santa Cruz. Joel, thank you very much. That's dinner hour, right?
Correct.
Good job, Joel. And Mike McAnamy, State Park Superintendent, Santa Cruz.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, we're honored to have all of you. And again, what you did was incredible, and everybody saw it. And you'd watch it over and over. I know when I first saw it, I said, roll that back. I want to see that again. Is that really happening? And both of you people have to be very proud.
Okay, we're continuing to listen in there to the president. What we're going to do a little bit of some maneuvering behind the scenes here, and we're going to roll the tapes from this scene earlier today and move it a little bit forward just a little bit, because we do want to get to the big point of all of this, which is when the president began taking questions from the press. So if you guys will hold with me here for just a moment. Ryder Williams did end up speaking in the Oval Office, so we do want to listen to that. I believe he might have been asked a question here, so please give us just one moment here as we correct the tapes. Okay, there we go. This looks like the point that the questions do begin. This is going to be about 10 seconds before they begin. Let's take you back live there now to, or from earlier today at the White House, as the president met with that now infamous moment that this 16-year-old lifeguard ended up saving this little boy that's now also in the Oval Office with President Trump.
Inspired by what you did. Can you tell us what was going through your mind at those dangerous moments, and what would you like to do in the future? How has this experience as a lifeguard shaped you?
In those dangerous moments that we have, we always try to fall back on our training. We are trained so well by many to handle that situation as best we can. So I really was thinking about how to get the boy out of the water as fast as I can. And for shaping my future, I want to be a firefighter in the future, hopefully go through paramedic school. And
He's off to a good start. We'll give him recommendations. We may have some good recommendations. Go ahead.
that's all I have. Thank you.
First of all, thank you. You are an inspiration for all of us, I think, and especially you give us hope for your generation. And along those lines, do you have a message for your generation about service and what you're doing?
I hope that everybody can take away from this and try to help more people. Try to look out for everybody around you, and just try to help everybody out as much as you can.
What's the average age of a lifeguard in your area?
I'd say a lot of this last year, a lot of them were 16 to 17 years old.
And you have some that make it a profession, right?
Yes, sir.
A lot. So do you have 35, 40, 45-year-old?
Yes,
That's
sir.
great. And they lead a beautiful life on the surf, right?
Yes, sir.
And they would rather do nothing else,
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's very good. I think it's great.
Mr. President, on a different topic.
Well,
Yesterday,
wait,
John.
let's finish on this topic. This is very exciting to me.
Mr.
So, you know, it's
President,
so exciting to see something like this happen. He's a real hero. You know, when you see that, I don't know if I'd do it, I wouldn't probably. You're lucky I wasn't. You're lucky I wasn't on service that day. I don't know, but no, he's a real hero. It's an amazing thing, and he's a real lucky guy too. God was watching you, right?
Yeah.
Great. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, I do have a question about Iran, but I would like to ask you something about the rescue as well. Following this, there's been a push in Congress to officially affirm that open water lifeguards should be recognized as first responders. That would apparently really open up access to benefits, more federal programs. Would you support that push?
Well, I think they have gone a long way to get that done. You know, it's something most people don't talk about. We have a lot of other things we talk about. And first time I've ever heard the question, but this is something that's been going on, I guess. Is that right? I'd like to put my weight behind it. So let's take a look at it. Very important. Yeah, I like the idea. Why do you ask that question? I mean, is this something that's been discussed very
Members
much?
of Congress have been talking about it in the wake of this
Well, I
rescue.
think in the wake of what happened here, there's a possibility something like that would happen.
And Mr. President, your memorandum of understanding with Iran expires today. Are you any closer to reaching a final deal on ending Iran's nuclear
Let's
program
finish
today
up-
than you were 60 days ago?
Let's finish up with Ryder, and then when we're done, we'll answer a couple of those questions. Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. President, again. So for the young men and for those who trained him here, so as a parent, I'm very concerned when I see moments like those. What's your message to parents across the country who want to really improve their children's safety, especially when they're younger like this?
Well, I think you have to be going to the right beach, number one, and I think you have to have lifeguards around, right? Because you could go to that water. That looked so beautiful the day. It was such a beautiful day, everything nice. The water didn't look that bad, and then all of a sudden you see these violent waves come in. That's what amazed me so much. I studied it. I said, this is incredible. I've never seen that kind of roughness in water. I've seen tragic things happen, but I've never seen water that looks so calm, and then every 15 seconds, the violence comes back in. I think really you probably have areas, I'll bet you have areas that you think should have, as you call them, guards, that don't have. Can you imagine having more guards along the coast, parts of the coast, that aren't guarded where people die?
Yes, certainly. The National Water Safety Action Plan and the California State Action Plan both call for more supervision, and by supervision,
do we lose a lot of people due to lack of, covering an area?
It can be challenging in some of those spots because of the economy to live there is
Right.
expensive. It's a coastal beach community, and there's $1 million homes on the beach, and our lifeguards are making a little more than minimum wage, but it can be challenging to live in those spaces, so it's hard to retain employees in those areas.
As the lifeguards grow older and they want to make that a profession, which is a noble profession, they make much higher salaries, right?
Yeah. Yes. If they become
they make a good living.
If they become a full-time lifeguard, which in our department requires you to become a peace officer.
I see. Okay. Well, that helps for that other question.
It does. That's a livable wage, and they can become members of the community and live where they're working, and give back.
So will you be doing it? You helped so much with Ryder. Will you be doing it as a profession, or will you be doing other things later?
So I'm actually a full-time firefighter paramedic with a fire department in California, and I've stayed on the books with state parks because I owe this program a lot, and it's done a lot for me.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I love being here, helping train people like Ryder, so I plan on staying around for a long time.
That's great. Good job. That's fantastic. Yeah, please.
Right.
Are you
Policy
okay?
question, Mr.
Go
President?
ahead.
There's a lot of debate right now about these license plate scanners that are going up across the country. They're called flock cameras. People are worried that the police might misuse them. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
Or what's your stance?
Well, it's being studied right now. You have pros and cons, right? It's being studied right now. We'll have an answer sort of as to our views on it over the next couple of weeks.
Mr. President, yesterday John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your
Who said
response,
that?
John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things. We're building a great facility here. We're fixing a White House that hasn't been taken care of. You can look at this. This room was a disgraceful situation in the Oval Office, and it was let go. The whole building, the White House, was let go. The exteriors were falling apart. The columns were falling apart. The whole place was a mess. In addition, they've been trying to get a ballroom for the last 150 years. And when I said I was going to build a ballroom, the military asked if they could see me. And they say, sir, we have an opportunity to go down deep into the ground and build a military facility to go to the White House and to go with all of Washington, D.C., which would be so valuable. And then they came up with the drone port on top, which would be a major drone port to protect the White House and all of D.C. And all of those things added up, and it became much more than just a ballroom. And I said to myself, wow, what an opportunity. I mean, if I was just going to build a ballroom, I could have had it built very quickly, because I build very well and very quickly. We went 5 stories down into the ground. We did a lot of tremendous things for the military, things that they could never get. They said, this is an opportunity that we have because you're building the ballroom, that if you would be willing to spend more time, we would love to be able. We've been trying to do this at the White House for many, many years, and they've been trying to have a ballroom at the White House for many, many years. Now, what happened is we used to use tents, and the tents are usually made of either a plastic material, or canvas. And they wouldn't stop a .22 caliber. They wouldn't stop anything in terms of safety. It'd be very dangerous. And they haven't used a tent for years. They haven't had any big, like we have President Xi coming on September 24th or so. I think it's September 24th. And we'd love to have 2,000 people coming to dinner and celebrating a nice evening, et cetera, but we only have a room that's going to hold 89 people, and 89 people is not appropriate. So maybe more importantly, it's totally secure with bulletproof windows, bulletproof sides. It's drone proof, it's missile, every at the top of the line. And we need it, and especially with what's happened, unfortunately, to the world, you could say. Yeah.
So do you think on Oman this morning you said you would bomb the S out of Oman if they got in the way of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Would you say you're out of patience with Oman, a strategic partner?
No, I don't think they'd behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
Mr. President, I have actually 2 questions. There was a report by Center Square that nearly 24 Democratic attorney generals, months before your reelection, were basically planning already lawsuits against you, and wanted to see what your comment is on that. Second question.
Well, I heard about that. I'm not surprised, because they've weaponized this country like never before. The Democrats, or the Democrats as they call them, they've weaponized the country like nobody's ever seen anything like it. When you see the reports that are coming out now, that you would have never seen if I had not won the election in a landslide, but you would have never seen it if I didn't win the election. But the reports that you see coming out now, and the kind of illegal activity that they used on the 2020 election and beyond is earth-shattering. These are very dishonest people, so I wouldn't be surprised to hear that.
Sorry, this is on D.C. You have mentioned before, if the Democrats get in again, that they may eliminate the filibuster next time and make D.C. a state. A while back, Senator Mike Lee had floated an idea.
It wouldn't be a state. It wouldn't be. I mean, if we're talking about us, we have, as you know, a very radically left person elected mayor, who I haven't met. I'm sure she's very nice, but very, very, very radical left. And we would have to federalize D.C. You know, we've made D.C. great. When I got here, it was a very dangerous capital. I would have said to Ryder, don't come, it's too dangerous. Now I can say you can walk down the street, you can grab Nathaniel and all your friends, you can walk in, you're going to be very safe. But if you were here a year and a half ago, the numbers were horrible. The crime stats, the murders, the death, the drug dealing, everything was we have one of the safest, we've taken it from one of the most unsafe cities in the country to as safe a city as there is. Amazing what's happened to Washington, and it's our capital. We have to have a safe capital. And we did it through a lot of different reasons, but we also put the National Guard here. But in addition to that, the cleanliness, the new grass, the graffiti's all gone. We fixed up 82 monuments, fountains, and other things. The places, and when you see it in 6 months from now, it's going to be even beyond that. We're proud of our capital. I think these things are important. Whether you build, whether you do something to fix the White House, where, you know, now they've never had a real estate developer, a good one, a real good one here before. They might not ever have one again. But, you know, fixing up our great capital is a very important thing. I think it's very important psychologically. It's very important from the standpoint of people being able to come to the country and not get murdered in the capital. People would come here. We had one of the worst, one of the most unsafe cities in the country. Now we have one of the safest. Just to finish, we had a real problem with restaurants. Nobody wanted to have restaurants, restaurant entrepreneurs. Now you can't get space. Every restaurant is packed. The place is booming. People aren't going to get mugged and raped and beat to hell and shot and killed in Washington, D.C. One of the safest places. Crime is down 84%. And I did that in a short period of time. It's also down in Memphis, where we went specifically, and it's also down in New Orleans. I was asked by the governor, could I do something, because they were having Mardi Gras. It was very bad. And they had the best Mardi Gras they've ever had, the safest Mardi Gras that they've ever had. And we could do it in New York, we could do it in California, we could do it in Chicago if we were asked to do it. But the crime stats in the whole country, we have down 15, 16, 70%, a record.
Why hasn't Kim Jong-un responded to your request to have a conversation?
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah, he has.
Did you speak to him?
Where are you in conversation?
That's very positive. Well, just so you understand with South Korea, look, South Korea has been protected by us for many, many years. And during my first term, they agreed to pay close to $3 billion a year for protection, because we don't, they essentially weren't paying. And I asked them to do that at my request. I said, not right. They weren't happy about it, but they agreed. I asked for $10 billion, and they were very unhappy. But we agreed for a short term that it would be $3 billion, and next year it would go up, and the next year it would go up, so they start paying for their protection. When the election was rigged and I ended up watching for 4 years and then coming back, I watched Biden rescind that $3 billion here for whatever reason. When I called recently the president of South Korea, who I like, I think he's very nice actually, but I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you? So, and I want to help them, but when you ask somebody, would you like to give us a hand, and they say, no thanks, and then we're guarding them from a country and paying ourselves billions of dollars, it's costing us billions and billions of dollars to protect not only them, but other countries. Look at NATO. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars protecting Europe from Russia. Hundreds of billions, mostly from Russia, but from other things too. And then they say, well, they don't want to get involved with guarding the Strait, where they get most of their oil. They get 50% of their oil, and they don't want to get involved. Why are we doing it? So all I want is fairness. And South Korea, I get along with them very well, but they were paying $3 billion a year, and then they convinced Biden that I was probably a bad person and they shouldn't, and he immediately rescinded that order. So we were getting paid. We would have been getting paid a lot more, but we can't go around and protect all of these countries, especially when they're not there to help us.
On the expiration of the Memorandum of Understanding, are you any closer today to reaching a final deal to end Iran's nuclear program
Well, they
than you
want
were
to make a
60
deal,
days
but they're
ago?
not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary. Look, we're in there for one reason. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. You understand that? Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't have a nuclear weapon. And right now, them building one after what we did previously with the B-2 bombers, going to be a long time behalf. But Iran cannot have. It's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
How do you respond to folks who say that you are prioritizing the interest of adversaries in North Korea over our longtime partners by scaling back these military exercises?
No, I'm making it much safer. You see, I'm actually making it much safer. Kim Jong-un has always treated me with great respect, and we met on numerous occasions, actually, 2 primary occasions, spoken and spent time. I understand him. He understands me. You're doing war games. I get along with him. You know, he didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody. But I get along with him very well. No, what I'm doing is making things safer. Just the opposite.
Did he ask you to scale back on those?
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're
just wanted
fake
to follow
news.
up on this
You're a loud. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet.
If he had asked you
You're a
to
fake
scale back
reporter, and you
on the
report fake
military
news.
exercises.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. The Lincoln has been out there for a period of time, good period of time, but over the years we've had them out there much longer. I was at a group meeting, and an admiral came up to see me over the weekend, and it was at a big group, and he happened to be an admiral retired. He said, "I've been on ships that are out there much longer than that, sir, and I know people on the Lincoln, they say it's beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of." And other people went out and they found out to be true. It was fake news reporting from CNN.
Mr. President, there is a report that a senior intelligence official with the CCP just bought a historical building overlooking the White House. Have you heard about this? Do you have a
No, I
reaction
haven't
to
heard
that?
that.
Mr. President, yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead, behind you.
Okay.
The British Prime Minister recently reportedly sent text to someone impersonating Susie Wiles. Are you concerned about his judgment or the state of communications between the two countries?
No, but who happened? What happened? They sent text?
Apparently the Prime Minister sent text to somebody impersonating Susie Wiles, and it was...
No, I'm sure that he had a miscommunication.
Mr. President.
He's the Prime Minister.
Mr. President.
You know, I spoke to him. We had a good conversation, a couple of them. We had a good conversation. One of the things he is going to do, I think he's going to open up the North Sea. That'll make UK pretty rich, I'll tell you.
Mr. President.
If he opened up the North Sea, now he's got an immigration problem and he has an energy problem. He would have solved one of his problems. That would be a big thing. That would make UK rich. If you open up the North Sea, it's one of the great finds anywhere in the world. And if they would open up the North Sea...
Alrighty there, you are listening to the President. Continue to take questions from moments ago. Today in the Oval Office, lots of news made out of all of this, including a big story when we talk about the South Korea. The news made there as President Trump ordered the Pentagon back yesterday on Sunday to scale back planned joint military exercises with South Korea. Let's get you right now to a live look right now, full screen at the White House, as we are continuing to follow the developing details after the president took questions from there. Again, the president saying Seoul declined to help denuclearize Iran and citing his, quote, great relationship with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Now, the 11th-day Ulchi Freedom Shield exercises, which involves 18,000 Korean soldiers and is set to begin today, are costly and, quote, send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to North Korea. Now, Trump had wrote on social media, that is what he said on social media, I should say, that he went on this Truth Social post to say, quote, I have instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce the joint military exercises, end quote. Now, Trump wrote that, also adding that he had asked South Korea to help pressure Iran, and they said, quote, no thanks. So again, that is the big news out of the White House. You heard the president saying that, admitting that Kim Jong-un had replied to the president, saying that they are going to stop these joint exercises ongoing in South Korea. So big story there, a big story that we will continue to monitor here. Already back live in Brookland right now as we are in our temporary studio. Every time it throws me off when we switch back to this camera, because we are also following some more information out of the Luigi Mangione trial, where we are now learning that he pled guilty on Friday. This was at the end of last week. This was a big story all day. All the news orgs, they were all over this one, because Luigi Mangione, he admitted that he shot and killed the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside a Midtown Manhattan hotel. Now, if you remember all of this, we've covered this story also previous right here on Brookland News Live. And if you remember this story back in December of 2024, Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, an insurance company had been killed. In court, Brian Thompson, I want to read this straight from my notes here. He says, quote, "I shot Mr. Thompson in Manhattan and he died." Now, Mangione, he's 28 years old. That's what he told the court there. Now, he pleaded guilty to federal stalking charges resulting in Thompson's death, admitting he 3D printed a gun and posed as an investor to get details on Thompson's schedule. Now, what he 3D printed was a silencer, not the actual gun. I want to clarify that. Now, sentencing guidelines suggest 24 to 30 years, but the judge isn't bound by that. Of course, as if you follow legal rules, you know that the judge can sentence to however long he feels like sentencing him. So could sentence him up to life. Sentencing is set for December 18th, so we're to watch out that. Now, the big reason that Mangione decided, hey, I'm actually going to change my plea completely, is because he wasn't not only facing these federal charges, he was also facing separate, I should say, New York State murder charges. That trial was set to begin for September, where he could face life without parole. Now, his defense has filed to get the state charges dismissed under New York's double jeopardy law. Now, the Manhattan's DI office says, quote, they are, quote, prepared to litigate and fight that motion. So this is going to be a big one. So double jeopardy laws in New York work a little bit different, so it is going to be key to watch here what is going to happen to the state case. And that was the reason, at least what is believed to be the reason, and what is widely reported to be the reason why Luigi Mangione decided to change his plea from originally not guilty, where both cases, the state and federal charges, were going to go to trial, to now this not guilty. To now this guilty rather, and now sentencing set for September 18th, and that is in the federal stalking case. Then we have a separate case out of New York State that covers the murder charges. It'd be interesting to see how this would go forward, considering inside this federal courtroom, he says, quote, I shot Mr. Thompson and he died specifically. So it'd be interesting to see what would happen here. Of course, the lawyers for Luigi Mangione have filed for this case to be dismissed, citing the double jeopardy laws out of New York. Get a big case to watch out for, and we will see what the judge has to say with all of this. We are going to sneak in our first break of the hour. When we come back, we'll talk about the Tupac Shakur ongoing opening statements in his murder that happened over 20 years ago. That's when we come back. You're watching Brooklyn News Live, and it is Monday. We'll be right back, you guys.
World that never stops. Brooklyn News is always there, bringing you news from Brooklyn.
Now to some news right now in Brooklyn. An increase to your trash pickup could be coming soon.
The nation.
We're going to start first right now with the breaking news and the information that we know.
And the world.
In the meantime, though, we do want to get to the latest on the war in Iran.
Follow Jackson Mitchell and Brooklyn News.
Welcome back. We are continuing to follow breaking news right now. You're taking a live look right now at a Las Vegas courtroom where a hearing is ongoing, or opening statements, I should clarify, there are ongoing in the Tupac Shakur trial. What's going on right now in Las Vegas is the murder trial of Dwayne, also known as Cafe D. Dwayne Davis here, full name there. Now, this is the man that prosecutors are alleging was fully guilty and orchestrating the death of Tupac Shakur, the infamous rapper, and the death that happened now over 20 years ago. We're going to continue taking a live look there at that hearing in Las Vegas. Now, Clark County prosecutor Benul Pilal told jurors the murder was, quote, an act of revenge, saying Davis was planning the retribution for a beating his nephew took earlier that night near the Las Vegas Strip. Now, prosecutors even played video of that earlier fight for the jury, tying it to a long-standing feud between the mob Peru Bloods and the Southside Crips. As we continue to take a live look there. Now, Davis, he's only 63 years old. He's pleaded not guilty, as you see they're taking it to trial. Prosecutors say he provided the gun and arranged the shooting, but did not pull the trigger himself. The case sat cold for nearly 30 years until Davis's own public comments, including a memoir, helped revive the investigation that led to his 2023 arrest. The first witnesses have already taken the stand, including a former homicide detective and a woman who was in Las Vegas the night of the shooting. Now, if convicted, Davis faces up to life in prison. What we're going to do here as we continue to watch the courtroom, we're going to listen in for just a little bit here, as it appears that this is another witness taking the stand, but it appears they're doing it over Zoom. Let's take a listen.
To claim he was trying to stop the fight.
Orlando Anderson was subpoenaed as a witness for Suge Knight, yes.
And did he testify that Suge Knight was trying to help him, not hurt him?
Orlando Anderson apparently, because I wasn't allowed in the courtroom, but apparently Orlando Anderson testified in court that day that Suge Knight was trying to help him.
And then were you the witness that laid the foundation for the videotape that disputed that testimony at that revocation hearing?
Because I had talked to Orlando Anderson in Compton the day of the search warrants, and he told me differently, I was there as an impeachment witness in case Orlando decided to tell the story that he did tell. And I testified that Orlando told me otherwise, that Suge Knight and Tupac had basically beat him down pretty good.
Thank you, sir. Judge, I pass the witness.
All right. Cross-examination, Mr. Smith.
Detective Becker, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just need to follow up with a couple things. Let me start off with this. So you talked a little bit about your powers as a police officer in Nevada. And you had mentioned that those police powers end at the border of Nevada. Is that what I heard before?
Yeah, our basic law enforcement powers are within Nevada.
And as a result, what that means is when you enter into another state, you're technically...
Alrighty, I want to quickly note here, as you are watching, we were trying to figure out who was exactly on the stand, and we've just learned that is Brent Becker. What he is a former Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detective. He's testifying over a video call today on the investigation. At the time of all of this, I should note he is a former Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detective, and he was over the investigation at the time during all of this when Tupac Shakur was killed. Let's just kind of continue to listen in here for the remainder of the hour.
About the photo lineups, and fair to say, of course, you know, as a defense attorney, you want to make sure that each photo lineup does not suggest the answer to the question, right?
Correct.
So back in those days, you're cutting pictures, you're actually cutting photographs out and just pasting them in such a way to try to eliminate backgrounds and so forth, so that the person that's looking at the photo lineup won't be suggested as to what the answer is.
That's what our attempt was, yes, sir.
Now, just for the jury's edification, when someone is being shown a photo lineup, they're not they're in a room, they see the photo lineup, and then at that point, you wait for them to respond and see which one of the 6 people in there they recognize, right?
Well, you'd show the lineup and ask them if they recognize anybody in the lineup. That's you don't say who in this lineup, do you recognize? You just say, do you recognize anybody in the lineup?
Right, and the reason why you ask that question that way is you do not want to suggest an answer to your question. Or
correct. You don't want to try and make them lean towards anybody in particular.
right, because there are instructions that are part of those photo lineups that say there may not be a person at all that we're interested in the 6 people that we present to you, right? You could have a photo lineup with nobody in it that you would have as a target. Fair?
That's a fair statement. Yes, sir.
Now, in this particular regard, once a person sees who that person believes to be somebody associated with whatever investigation you're looking at, they typically would circle the picture and maybe put down a percentage of how sure they are of that person being the person that's involved in something. Is that how that works?
Yeah, typically what I would do anyhow is I'd have them initial the back of the photograph, the particular photograph of the person.
Right.
And if there was a percentage, I would have them put that on there, say it 80%, 60%, whatever that is, or 100%, whichever.
Now, of course, during this time period, as you are putting together these photo lineups, the majority of the individuals that the state identified in each photo lineup are people that are associated with Southside Crips. Would that be an accurate description?
I believe everybody was, I don't remember, was Roger Williams one of them? Because he's not a Crip. He's a Piru or mob guy, so he's a Blood. But everybody else was a Crip, yes.
Right, and so because you were under the premise that there was a gang war, that the Southside Crips had actually shot at Tupac and Suge Knight because they were Piru Blood, and so you were identifying just Southside Crips and putting them into photo lineups. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, we were using Crips because that was the information. Again, we were basing a lot of things off the information we were getting from Compton.
Right, and even so, even as you're receiving this information from Compton, even as you sit here right now, sir, you weren't comfortable necessarily with all of the information you were receiving from Compton, right?
We weren't comfortable with certain things in Compton, yes.
For instance, the way they were conducting their business as law enforcement in Compton was not the way you would recommend or know that Metro would do here in Las Vegas. Fair?
We witnessed a couple of interview techniques that we weren't comfortable with, yes.
Yes, sir. Now, in addition, as you are having these photo lineups, did these photo lineups ever go to anyone back in Las Vegas? For instance, we've heard some testimony from some females that were in a vehicle, some other people maybe that would have been at the scene. Were those photo lineups ever shown to anyone that was, like the girls in the Sebring or anything like that?
That's where I'm wondering. I think there was 5 photos later on that are shown, not the original 10. I don't remember the exact number, but there are 5 later photos.
Oh, no.
And I think I mentioned it during my earlier testimony that we sent to, I believe, someone in LAPD. And I know that of the 4 girls in the Sebring, I only think 1 or 2 said they were willing to look at the photo lineups. And I think photo lineups were sent to LA so they could show them to those.
And do you recall what the results were of those photo lineups being sent to the girls in LA?
I don't believe they identified anybody.
And fair to say that in this particular regard, the photo lineup that shows Terrence Brown, no one, as far as you know, no one identified Terrence Brown as being in a vehicle, even in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996?
Yeah, Terrence Brown was in one of those photo lineups, then he wasn't identified, correct.
How about DeAndre Smith? Was he ever identified by anybody in a photo line, and his photo lineup as being present in Las Vegas, Nevada on September 7th, 1996?
I don't recall anybody being identified in a photo lineup.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, sir, your testimony was that you were the primary detective on this case originally.
Myself and Mike Franks, we didn't really have a lead, but yeah.
All right. You drew the short straw, basically, on this one, right?
Well, I guess I'm the guy that's name is all over everything, but yes.
Well, congratulations. Let me ask you this question, though. As a police officer, did you write reports of all of your activity that you did during the course of this investigation?
Anytime we did something, I did an officer's report. I know Mike Franks did several reports too, yes.
And would there ever be a time during the time that you were handling this investigation that you would have chosen not to have written a officer's report?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
No. If we'd had a trip, especially any trip we did out of state, anything where we went out and did anything, I'd have done an officer's report. Back in the day, apparently they do things a little different. Even if it was a one paragrapher, we did officer's reports.
And as far as you know, based upon your knowledge of what happened to your file after you left, is the file complete in terms of your reports and what you did in this case?
When I left, it was, yes.
Is it now?
I don't know. I've never seen the case file, so I don't know what it looks like now. I've heard rumors.
Now, the district attorney's office had forwarded over to you some documents to help you with your preparation for testimony here today, right?
Correct.
Were those documents all of the officers' reports that you wrote while you were on this investigation?
No.
Now, in addition to that, sir, you had testified a little bit about the Luxor, I think. You had mentioned something about there was some information that Tupac and Suge Knight had both had rooms at the Luxor. Is that correct?
That's the information we had, yes, sir.
Okay. In addition to that, was there any video that was captured of the vehicles that had gone to the Luxor to pick up Tupac while he was at the Luxor?
I don't remember a specific video of the vehicles. I mean, there was hearsay of vehicles, but
Alright, if you're just joining us, you are watching a live look right now at as testimony is underway in the Tupac Shakur trial. Again, the rapper killed over 30 years ago. Lots of gang-related things in all of this, but the former detective who was one of kind of the leads on this case at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, Detective Brent Becker, is testifying right now on kind of the basics, laying the foundation of how this all began to the jurors and how the investigation was. We will continue listening again coming up here in just a few moments, so stick with us. We'll listen back into Brent Becker, again, the former Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department homicide detective, in just a few moments. In the meantime, we're going to sneak in a quick break. You're watching Brookland News Live. Welcome back, everybody. Right now, you're looking at former Las Vegas Metro homicide detective Brent Becker testifying over video call in the Tupac Shakur murder trial. Let's go ahead and listen back in here.
More or less, you're getting a number, and you're more or less recording those numbers. So it's not quite the same as you're recording phone calls and listening to them, where in that particular case, you actually have people in a room and they're actually listening to calls, and if the call is not pertaining to your investigation, you're supposed to turn it off and not listen to it. It's something that's not pertaining to it. And that a pen register is more or less information to record calls. It's a tool to assist you in your investigation if it turns out to be something that's valuable. That was the intent.
Right.
When we did the pen register, we never got to do it because we did the pen register. You have to file it with the county, and lo and behold, the next day it was in the newspaper. So basically, it was a waste of time.
Well, I mean, for instance, the pen register would be you would target someone's phone number, right? And so
correct. That was the intent.
And the pen register would record the numbers that were either going to that phone number or that phone number making phone calls out of that to other phones.
That was the intent.
Now, in this case, can you tell us, for instance, what Keefe D's phone number was at that particular time?
I couldn't tell you. No.
And with regards to the phone records that we had received, there were some numbers that were either from the Monte Carlo, and I don't know if it was from the Luxor, but do any of those phone numbers register back to a pager? Because this is 1996, right? So it's got to be a pager, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what was around 1996 besides the pager.
I believe those phone numbers were actually the phone numbers to the hotels themselves.
Right. And so outside of that, we don't have any fact that Keefe D's pager or phone number was either dialed to or received in from either the Luxor or the Monte Carlo, is what's been shared here today, right?
Not on those calls, sir.
Now, in addition to that, you had mentioned as well the search warrants that occurred in Compton. Now, these search warrants that occurred, fair to say that they also they were doing these search warrants to try to retrieve firearms to help quell or to suppress any potential violence in Compton. Is that the reason or purpose for those search warrants?
I don't know what it was. Their search warrant. I can't tell you what the purpose, other than my understanding was there was an arrest warrant for Orlando Anderson. All that other stuff, that's Compton's thing.
Yeah.
It was their search warrant.
And in terms of that search warrant, did you ever see the results, or was Keefe D's house or residence in Compton searched as well?
I don't remember. I'd have to. The return had so much information on there. I'd have to sit there and look at it.
Okay, lots of information ongoing there. The ongoing trial. We will continue listening in tomorrow, as we'll be here at an earlier time. We'll be here at 2 p.m. again tomorrow. So make sure to join us then. And as we wrap up this hour, I want to get you back here live inside Brookland News headquarters in our temporary set. We're only here for the remainder of this week. Want to get you right now to a live look in Brooklyn. You can see down School Street right now from that Arkansas Department of Transportation camera. As if you drove near Brookland schools anytime at around 3 p.m., even earlier than that to earlier this morning, you already know traffic was rough with students returning to class again tomorrow. It's going to be bad once again. Parents were out in force for last-minute drop-offs, supply runs, and meet the teacher stumps showed across the roads all today. Students, again, returning tomorrow. If you're planning your morning commute for tomorrow, stick with us. We're going to bring you some information about that coming up tomorrow, because tomorrow, as we wrap up the hour, you'll be able to see some of the traffic. I say even plan. If you're leaving from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., anytime around that, leave about 30 minutes earlier than you should. And that goes from the time from 2 to 3 as well, really 2:30 to about 3:30, even all the way to 4 o'clock. Traffic not good at all. Again, first day of school for students at Brookland public schools, including the brand new intermediate school that opened its doors to students just earlier last week for open house. So a big day for Brookland public schools as things change across the district as well. And as we continue to take a live look in Brookland, it was yet another hot day. Crockett Electric actually planned outages for this weekend, but due to the temperatures, they decided to delay that. Unclear exactly when those planned outages for some changes will come to Brookland. As we take a look into tonight, 72 degrees is going to be that low. Into Tuesday, sunny skies continue, high of 94 and a low of 74. Wednesday, this is the big day to watch out for, because there is a chance of severe thunderstorms across northeast Arkansas. High of 97, a low of 74. Again, those could be severe storms, so this is going to be something to watch here as we go into Wednesday. We'll have more details on that coming up in your weather, your hometown, your weather tomorrow. Again, I'll be here live at 2 p.m. for yet another edition of Brookland News Live. In the meantime, I'm Jackson Mitchell. Remember, you can follow us on all of our social media pages that have been scrolling the entire time on the bottom of your screen. And if you've not read the midterms preview right now on brooklandnews.com, I recommend you go do that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, guys. We're back tomorrow at 2 p.m.